Have you ever thought about tuning your radio and hearing voices from decades ago? It seems like something out of a science fiction movie, but reports indicate that this might be more real than we imagine. Somewhere in the world, there are stories about a radio station that broadcasts old messages as if they were echoes from the past. Some people swear they've heard these transmissions, while others consider it all a big coincidence. This phenomenon sparks curiosity because it challenges our understanding of technology and time. How is it possible for old signals to reappear years after they were transmitted? To better understand, we need to go back to the beginning of radio history. This revolutionary technology was created in the late 19th century and quickly became one of the main forms of communication. During the first decades of the 20th century, the radio was the primary source of news, music, and entertainment. Millions of people relied on it to connect with the world. But what happens when those old signals don't completely disappear? Some experts suggest they can be reflected by atmospheric layers, like the ionosphere, and return years later. Another, even more intriguing theory says these transmissions might be linked to time distortions or paranormal phenomena. Is it possible that the past is trying to send us messages? Listener reports are fascinating. Many claim to have picked up old songs, political speeches, or even casual conversations that seem to come directly from another era. One of the most famous cases occurred in the 1980s, when a group of amateur radio enthusiasts captured a transmission that seemed to come from a 1940s radio station. The audio quality was impressive, as if it had been recorded recently. These experiences raise deep questions. Are we just hearing old signals trapped in space, or is something more complex happening? Regardless of the scientific explanation, the emotional appeal of these stories is undeniable. Listening to voices from the past can be a way to connect with our own history and collective memories. Moreover, the mystery of the ghost station also attracts curious people and hunters of inexplicable phenomena. Groups of enthusiasts regularly gather to try to capture these enigmatic transmissions. For some, this search goes beyond fun. It's almost like a spiritual journey where each captured signal brings fragments of an era that no longer exists. But can we trust these stories? Are there documented records that confirm these accounts, or is it all just an urban legend? Now that we know more about the phenomenon of the ghost station, it's time to delve deeper into the scientific explanations for these mysterious transmissions. One of the most accepted theories is the reflection of radio signals in the ionosphere. This atmospheric layer has unique properties that can reflect radio waves, allowing them to travel long distances. During intense solar events, such as geomagnetic storms, the ionosphere can behave unpredictably, altering how signals are transmitted. Some scientists suggest that old signals can get trapped in this layer for years or even decades, being released eventually due to changes in atmospheric conditions. Another hypothesis involves the concept of radio echoes. These echoes occur when radio signals are reflected by objects in space, such as asteroids or space debris. Although these explanations make sense, they don't fully explain some of the strangest reports. For example, how do you explain clear and detailed human voices that seem to be speaking directly to the listener? This is where less conventional theories come in, such as the idea that time may be a flexible dimension, allowing fragments of the past to manifest in the present. This idea is widely explored in science fiction, but some physicists speculate that temporal distortions can occur on minimal scales and be perceived only under specific conditions. Another interesting point is the role of modern technology in this phenomenon. Are more sensitive devices capturing signals that previously went unnoticed? Amateur equipment like shortwave receivers has the ability to tune into rare and old frequencies. This increases the chances of detecting something unusual. Today, software can analyze radio signals with precision, identifying patterns that would be impossible to detect manually. However, even with all this technology, many questions remain unanswered. Why can some people pick up these transmissions, while others never hear anything? Perhaps the human factor plays an important role. Some cultures believe certain people have a special sensitivity to perceive inexplicable phenomena. Whether or not there is a scientific explanation, the appeal of the mystery remains undeniable. The next block will explore real-life stories of people who claim to have experienced this phenomenon firsthand. Get ready to dive into impressive accounts and discover how these experiences impacted their lives. You won't want to miss it. Now that we better understand the possible scientific explanations, let's explore real-life stories of people who claim to have captured these mysterious transmissions. One of the most famous reports comes from John, an amateur radio operator in the United States. In 1997, he captured a transmission that seemed to come directly from the 1920s. John described the audio as crystal clear, with songs and conversations he recognized from historical records. He recorded everything and shared it with experts, but no one could fully explain the phenomenon. Another intriguing case was that of Maria, a Brazilian woman who in 2010 claims to have heard an old radio program while driving through the interior of Minas Gerais. She reported that the announcer was talking about local news from an era she only knew about through history books. The strangest part is that the signal disappeared as soon as she tried to record it. These reports are not isolated. Online groups dedicated to studying paranormal phenomena are full of similar stories. Many of these accounts include details that could hardly be fabricated, such as references to little-known historical events or songs that don't exist in modern records. A common aspect among these stories is the feeling of nostalgia and connection that listeners experience. It's as if these voices from the past touch something deep within those who hear them. Some psychologists suggest this could be an emotional projection, where the listener interprets random sounds as something meaningful. However, other experts argue that these reports are too consistent to be mere coincidences or auditory illusions. Beyond that, many listeners report feeling a sense of urgency when hearing these transmissions, as if they were receiving an important message. This emotional aspect makes the phenomenon even more intriguing. Is it possible that these transmissions carry some kind of purpose, or are they just random remnants of the past? In the next block, we'll explore how these reports have impacted popular culture and inspired movies, series, and books on the subject. Get ready to discover how the mystery of the ghost station transcended the real world and invaded the realm of fiction. The mystery of past transmissions didn't stay confined to the real world. It also profoundly influenced pop culture, appearing in movies, series, books, and even video games. One of the most iconic examples is the film The Radio of the Past, released in the 2000s. The plot revolves around a young man who finds an old radio capable of picking up messages from decades ago. This work brought the theme to a wider audience, sparking the interest of millions in the mystery of lost frequencies. Beyond cinema, series like Dark and Stranger Things explored similar ideas, connecting the concept of ancient transmissions with time travel and parallel dimensions. In literature, authors like Stephen King also drew inspiration from this phenomenon. In The Dead Zone, for example, there are references to mysterious signals that seem to come from another era. These works show how the theme transcends reality and becomes a metaphor for existential questions, such as the weight of the past and the connection between different eras. Another interesting aspect is how these stories shape our perception of the phenomenon. Often, what we see in fiction ends up influencing how we interpret real-life reports. This raises an important question. To what extent is pop culture portraying Something real, or is it just creating a fanciful narrative? Regardless of the answer, the impact of these portrayals is undeniable. They help popularize the theme and attract new, curious minds to investigate the phenomenon. In the next block, we'll explore how groups of enthusiasts are trying to unravel this mystery on their own. These frequency hunters use specialized equipment and advanced techniques to capture signals that might prove the existence of this ghost station. Get ready to meet stories of people who have dedicated their lives to this relentless search. Will they find concrete evidence, or does the mystery remain as inexplicable as before? While many only speculate about past transmissions, others decided to take action. Groups of enthusiasts scattered around the world dedicate their time to investigating this intriguing phenomenon. These frequency hunters use a variety of equipment, from amateur radios to modified shortwave receivers, in an attempt to capture unusual signals. Some even build their own devices, combining old and modern technology to increase their chances of success. One of these groups, known as Echo Hunters, gained notoriety by sharing their discoveries online. They claim to have captured hundreds of mysterious signals over the years. Among these signals stand out human voices speaking ancient languages, songs that don't appear in any historical record, and even numbers being dictated randomly. Another famous group is the Temporal Waves Project, based in Europe. They use giant antennas installed in remote areas to minimize interference and increase sensitivity. Despite their efforts, these hunters face many challenges. The main one is the lack of scientific recognition. Many experts consider their findings mere coincidences or interferences. Additionally, the cost of maintaining equipment and the difficulty of finding sufficiently isolated locations are constant obstacles. Even so, the passion for unraveling the mystery keeps these enthusiasts motivated. For them, every captured signal is a piece of a puzzle that could reveal unimaginable secrets. Some of these hunters report profound emotional experiences when hearing these transmissions. They describe a feeling of being connected to something greater than themselves. In the next block, we'll explore the ethical and philosophical aspects involved in this search. After all, if we really are listening to voices from the past, what impact does this have on our understanding of time and history? Do we have the right to invade the past in this way, or are we simply rediscovering something that was always there? Get ready to reflect on issues that transcend science and touch the heart of the human condition. Keep following to delve even deeper into this fascinating debate. Exploring the phenomenon of past transmissions raises a fundamental question. Are we dealing only with technology, or is there something deeper involved? Philosophers and scientists have debated for decades about the nature of time. Some theories suggest that the past, present, and future coexist simultaneously, like layers of the same reality. If this is true, then perhaps we are accessing fragments of that reality through these transmissions. But this raises important ethical questions. For example, if we are truly hearing voices of people who lived decades ago, are we invading their privacy? Or did they know they were being recorded forever? Another point to consider is the impact these discoveries could have on our understanding of history. If we could access sound recordings from any era, how would that change our view of the past? Imagine hearing historical speeches directly from the source, without intermediaries. This could confirm or debunk many theories we have about important events. However, there's also the risk of distortion. How do we know what we're hearing is authentic or just an altered interpretation over time? Beyond that, there's the emotional aspect. Hearing voices from the past can be a cathartic experience, but can also bring up feelings of loss and nostalgia. For some, it can be a painful reminder that time is irreversible and that we cannot go back to fix mistakes or recover lost moments. In the next block, we'll explore how these reflections impact our relationship with the present and the future. So after all, if the past can be accessed, does that mean the future can also be predicted or influenced? These questions lead us to think about humanity's role in the timeline and how our actions today can echo through generations. Get ready for a philosophical journey that challenges our deepest beliefs about time and space. Keep following to expand your mind and question everything you thought you knew about the universe. This is just the beginning of an exploration that promises to transform your worldview. Although the mystery of past transmissions continues to intrigue, it's also being used in practical and innovative ways. One of the most impacted areas is education. Teachers and historians are using these old recordings to create immersive experiences for students. Imagine students listening to historical speeches or traditional songs from different eras directly from the source. This brings a new dimension to learning. Additionally, these transmissions can help preserve cultures at risk of being forgotten. Indigenous languages, folk songs, and oral histories can be recovered and kept alive. In some cases, researchers have identified linguistic and musical patterns that were previously considered lost thanks to these ancient frequencies. Another field where these transmissions are proving useful is psychology. Therapists use sounds and voices from the past to help patients explore deep memories and emotions. For some people, hearing these transmissions can trigger feelings of nostalgia, providing a comforting sense of belonging. However, not all uses are positive. There are concerns about how these recordings might be manipulated or used unethically. For example, someone could use these voices to falsify historical messages or create distorted narratives to influence opinions. In the next block, we'll explore the dangers and challenges associated with the use of these transmissions. Are we prepared to handle the ethical and moral consequences of this phenomenon? Get ready to dive into an intense debate about the limits between preservation and exploitation. Keep following to understand how the misuse of these voices could impact our society. This is a warning about the responsibility we carry when accessing fragments of the past. You'll be impressed by the implications this could have for humanity's future. Despite the opportunities offered by past transmissions, they also come with dangers and challenges we cannot ignore. One of the biggest risks is the manipulation of these voices for political or commercial purposes. Imagine an old message being used to justify an ideology or sell a product. Without proper regulation, anyone could distort these transmissions to create false or misleading narratives. Beyond that, there's the risk of emotional exploitation. Some people may feel uncomfortable or even traumatized by hearing voices of loved ones who have passed away. Another challenge is the lack of complete scientific understanding of the phenomenon. Without clear explanations, it's hard to determine what's real and what might be attributed to environmental noise or interference. These dilemmas require deep reflection on the limits of what we can and should do with these voices from the past. In the next block, we'll explore how the scientific community is trying to regulate and study this phenomenon responsibly. Will we be able to find a balance between exploration and respect? Get ready to discover how experts are working to protect these transmissions while continuing to uncover their secrets. Facing so many mysteries, the scientific community is mobilizing to study past transmissions more systematically. Renowned institutions such as MIT and NASA have begun investing in research to better understand how these signals can arise and be captured. One of the most promising approaches is the use of artificial intelligence, AI, to analyze the patterns of these transmissions. Advanced algorithms can identify nuances that escape the human ear. Additionally, telescopes and giant antennas are being used to monitor rare frequencies, seeking signals that might confirm existing theories. However, even with all this technology, we still face significant limitations. The main one is the lack of consistent data on the origin of these signals. Another challenge is separating what is truly a historical signal from what might just be environmental noise or modern interference. Despite this, some advances have already been made. Researchers have managed to reconstruct fragments of songs and speeches that weren't found in any official records. These results are promising, but also raise new questions. How do these signals manage to cross decades without losing their integrity? In the next block, we'll explore how these discoveries are helping to redefine our understanding of time and space. Are we on the verge of unraveling fundamental secrets about the nature of the universe? Past transmissions are forcing scientists to rethink basic concepts about time and space. This might sound like something out of a science fiction novel, but it's an increasingly tangible reality. In traditional physics, time is seen as a straight line, where the past, present, and future occur in sequence. However, these transmissions suggest that time might be much more fluid than we imagined. Some theories propose that time is more like a cycle or spiral, where past events can leak into the present under certain conditions. This idea aligns with concepts from quantum mechanics, which suggests particles can exist simultaneously in multiple states or moments. Another interesting hypothesis is that space-time might have cracks or folds, allowing ancient information to escape and be captured by modern equipment. If this is true, we could be facing a revolution in physics with profound implications for fields like time travel and interstellar communication. However, these theories still need a lot of evidence to be proven. In the meantime, they continue to fuel heated debates among scientists and philosophers. In the next block, we'll explore how these ideas are influencing other areas of knowledge, such as psychology and neuroscience. After all, if time isn't linear, how does this affect our perception of memory and consciousness? Get ready to discover how our brain might be connected to these transmissions in ways we never imagined. Keep following to understand how science is uniting different fields to unravel this mystery. This is a fascinating example of how interdisciplinary collaboration can lead to innovative discoveries. You'll be surprised by the connections between physics, the human mind, and the phenomenon of voices from the past. This is an invitation to expand your mind and question everything you thought you knew about the universe. We're only scratching the surface of a field of study that promises to transform the future. Now that we better understand the impact of these transmissions on physics, it's time to explore how they might be connected to the human mind and our memory. Some theories suggest the human brain might be able to tune in to these ancient frequencies, especially in altered states of consciousness. This would explain reports of people hearing voices from the past during dreams or deep meditations. Could our minds have a natural connection to these signals? Additionally, recent studies show human memory might function similarly to a recorder, storing information that can be accessed under certain conditions. This parallel between memory and ancient transmissions raises intriguing questions. Are our memories just fragments of a universal database? Another interesting point is how these transmissions might influence our mental health. For some people, hearing ancient voices can be a comforting experience, while for others it can be disturbing. Psychologists are starting to use these recordings in experimental therapies, helping patients access repressed memories or process trauma. However, there are concerns about the risks involved. Exposing someone to ancient voices without proper preparation can cause confusion or anxiety. In the next block, we'll explore how these discoveries are being applied in areas like music and the arts. Imagine musical compositions inspired directly by ancient transmissions or artworks that capture the essence of these lost voices. Get ready to discover how artists are using this phenomenon to create unique and exciting experiences. Keep following to see how human creativity is transforming this mystery into art. This is a powerful example of how the unknown can inspire beauty and innovation. You'll be impressed by the ways these transmissions are shaping contemporary culture. This is just the beginning of a new era of artistic expression based on the past. Ancient transmissions not only intrigue scientists and philosophers, but also inspire artists from all fields. Musicians, painters, and filmmakers are using these ancient voices to create unique works. In music, for example, composers are sampling sounds captured from these frequencies to create soundtracks that blend the old and the modern. Imagine a symphony where classical instruments dialogue with historical speeches or recovered folk songs. The result is a deeply evocative auditory experience. In cinema, directors are exploring this theme in documentaries and fictional films. They use these transmissions as narrative elements to create mysterious and emotional atmospheres. A notable example is the film Echoes of Time, which tells the story of a musician who discovers a ghost radio station and uses its transmissions to compose his masterpiece. In visual art, artists are creating interactive installations that allow the public to hear fragments of the past while observing paintings or sculptures inspired by these voices. These works challenge the boundaries between reality and imagination, inviting viewers to reflect on the connection between memory, time, and identity. Beyond that, the phenomenon is inspiring new artistic movements that seek to revive cultures and traditions that were on the verge of disappearing, giving a voice to marginalized communities in the present. As past transmissions gain space in art and media, they're also creating economic opportunities and transforming the cultural market. Exhibitions, musical shows, and documentaries about the topic are attracting curious crowds eager to explore this phenomenon. Museums of history and technology are organizing interactive exhibitions that allow visitors to experience these transmissions directly. This has generated significant revenue for cultural institutions, as well as attracting sponsorships from companies interested in investing in this trend. In the music industry, albums inspired by these transmissions are reaching top positions on the charts, proving that the public is hungry for unique experiences. Another impacted sector is tourism. Cities with rich histories and local legends associated with these transmissions are promoting themselves as mysterious and fascinating destinations. Hotels and tour operators are offering packages that include visits to places where these frequencies are supposedly captured, attracting enthusiasts and curious people from around the world. However, this growth also raises questions about commercial exploitation. To what extent are we valuing the phenomenon ethically and respectfully? While the world marvels at past transmissions, local communities are facing challenges and opportunities related to this phenomenon. In some regions, these transmissions are being seen as a way to revive cultural traditions that were on the verge of disappearing. Community leaders are using these ancient voices to teach native languages, tell traditional stories, and celebrate rituals that had been forgotten. On the other hand, there are concerns that external interest might turn these traditions into spectacles for tourists, diluting their original meaning. To prevent this, many communities are implementing measures to protect their stories and ensure they're shared respectfully. An example is the creation of cultural cooperatives that control how these transmissions are used and publicly shared. These initiatives not only preserve traditions, but also generate income for communities, allowing them to continue maintaining their practices alive. However, not all communities have the resources needed to protect themselves against commercial exploitation. This raises important questions about justice and equality. Facing growing interest in past transmissions, governments and international organizations are beginning to discuss how to regulate the use of these signals. UNESCO, for example, is considering including these transmissions on the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity, recognizing their historical and cultural importance. This measure aims to protect these ancient voices against unbridled commercial exploitation and ensure they're used ethically and respectfully. Additionally, some countries are creating specific legislation to control who can capture, study, and share these transmissions. However, implementing these policies isn't an easy task. The phenomenon is global, and transmissions can be captured anywhere in the world, making centralized control difficult. Another challenge is balancing scientific research freedom with the need to protect cultural heritage. How do we ensure scientists have access to these signals without compromising their integrity? To solve these issues, experts are proposing the creation of international consortia that bring together governments, scientists, and local communities. These consortia could establish clear guidelines on how these transmissions should be treated, from their capture to their public dissemination. As regulatory proposals gain momentum, they're also generating diverse reactions in society. While some people support the idea, others resist vehemently. Among the supporters are historians, anthropologists, and community leaders who see regulation as a way to preserve cultural heritage and avoid exploitation. They argue that these transmissions belong to humanity as a whole and must be protected, so future generations can access them. On the other hand, there are groups that criticize regulation, claiming it could limit freedom of expression and scientific research. Some amateur frequency hunters fear these policies could restrict their access to necessary equipment and technologies to capture these signals. Additionally, there are debates about who should have the right to decide what to do with these transmissions. Should governments or local communities make that decision? Social media is becoming an arena where these discussions happen, with hashtags like preserve or liberate gaining popularity among users. These debates show that the phenomenon of past transmissions isn't just scientific or cultural, but also deeply political and social. With so many initiatives underway, it's natural to ask ourselves, what will the future of past transmissions look like? Are we facing a new chapter in human history? One of the most exciting possibilities is the development of even more advanced technologies to capture and interpret these signals. This could open doors to unimaginable discoveries. Imagine portable devices that allow anyone to tune into these ancient frequencies, turning the phenomenon into an accessible experience for everyone. Additionally, artificial intelligence could play a crucial role in analyzing these transmissions, helping to decipher patterns and meanings we still don't understand. Another possible scenario is the emergence of new academic disciplines dedicated to studying these ancient voices, combining physics, history, psychology, and art. However, the future also brings uncertainties. If these transmissions become widely accessible, how will we ensure they're used ethically and responsibly? Beyond that, there's the risk that the phenomenon could lose its mystery and charm by being commercialized or trivialized. To prevent this, it will be essential to maintain a balance between exploitation and preservation, ensuring these voices continue to inspire and intrigue future generations. Throughout this journey, we've explored the phenomenon of past transmissions from various perspectives: scientific, cultural, ethical, and artistic. But above all, these ancient voices remind us of something fundamental: our connection to time and to those who came before us. Every captured signal is an echo of lives that shape the world we live in today. They invite us to reflect on our role in history and how we're leaving our own mark. This connection transcends geographical, cultural, and temporal boundaries. It unites us as humans, regardless of where or when we live. Some people report that hearing these transmissions gives them a sense of belonging, as if they're participating in something much larger than themselves. For others, it's an opportunity for reconciliation with the past, allowing them to better understand their roots and traditions. This emotional impact is one of the reasons why the phenomenon continues to fascinate. It touches something deep in our collective psyche, awakening curiosity and nostalgia. However, it also challenges us to think about the future. If we can access the past, can we also influence what's to come? This idea leads us to consider our responsibility as a species. Every choice we make today can be heard, seen, or felt by future generations. So what can you do moving forward? First, keep exploring. Research more about the topic, watch documentaries, read books, and participate in online discussions. Second, support initiatives that promote cultural preservation and scientific research, whether through donations, knowledge sharing, or simply spreading the word. Third, reflect on your own relationship with time. How are you leaving your mark on the world? What do you want future generations to know about you? Finally, share this journey with others. Talk to friends, family, and colleagues about what you've learned here. Inspire them to ask themselves, what can the past teach me? If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more videos like this. Your interaction is essential for us to continue exploring fascinating topics like this one. Enable notifications so you don't miss any updates, and share this video with anyone you think would love to dive into this mystery. Also, leave your comment below. What intrigued you most about past transmissions? What questions are still on your mind? Together, we can continue this conversation and discover even more about this incredible phenomenon. Thank you for embarking on this journey with us. May it inspire you to look at time with new eyes and find beauty in both what was and what is yet to come. Until next time, and may your own transmissions to the future be filled with meaning and purpose.